Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's podcast, taking care of business today with Don Kottick, who is president and CEO of Sotheby's International Realty Canada. Thanks, Don, for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Mario. Thanks for having me back. Great to see you again, as always.
Thank you. And let's chat about a new report that Sotheby's has. In looking at the Canadian real estate market, generational trends. And tell me, I guess, from your perspective, what are some of the key things that came out of this report?
Well, it was an interesting study because we were looking kind of at the cross-generational trends in some of the major centers, but looking at all the demographics to see what had changed since before COVID and, kind of post-pandemic. And it was really interesting. The results, we weren't exactly sure what the survey was going to come back. We did it in conjunction with the Mustel Group, who is our partner in terms of creating these unique studies. And the results were really quite surprising. It showed a lot of confidence in real estate as an investment. We looked at the within the next year, and we looked 10 years out. And so there was a lot of uniformity in terms of the different generations. And we found that there was a lot of confidence right across the board. And then even 10 years out, 60% of the respondents basically showed confidence either the same or greater in real estate as an investment compared to other investment vehicles. So yeah. I think the sense of ownership, of home ownership in Canada is strong and going well.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think, and I know in the report, the report uses the word bullish. And why are Canadians, no matter how old they are, what age bracket they're in, bullish on the Canadian real estate market?
Well, it's interesting because affordability is definitely an issue, but I think when you take into account the fact that we've got a high cost of living, we have high taxation, there's not a lot of safe havens for your money. Yeah. And I think the uncertainty in the stock market, the equity market, people realize that the one of the best ways in Canada with our high tax rates is basically wealth accumulation through real estate. And I think home buying is integral to the Canadian culture. It's always has been. And I think that reflects in the results of this survey that has been conducted.
Now, do you think, Don, the easing of inflationary pressures out there, as well as the easing of interest rates hikes, will contribute in a positive manner now for the rest of the year for the real estate market?
Well, I think there's still, uncertainty in terms of what is going to, happen probably on the global front. So that will create some form of, question out there for many people. But I do think, the general consensus is rates have stopped rising, which will definitely bode well for the industry and for home sales. So I think that gives probably people a lot of confidence. But it comes back to we still have a chronic shortage of inventory. And that is really kind of the underlying problem that we face in Canadian real estate right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, when over the years, there's been a lot of talk about, the sort of the condo way of living, or, like rentals and inner city living, downtowns, etc. But yet, more and more, I see a younger population wanting home ownership and wanting even like single detached homes. Is that a trend that you're seeing as well?
Well, before we did the study with Mustel Group, we did an earlier study on the buying and the kind of the habits of the Gen Zs, and they basically did express an interest in obviously owning a home in the future, but owning that detached home. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of demand for those types of properties. And obviously, with affordability being an issue, the governments have been building vertically as opposed to horizontally. So most of the stock that has been added has been condominiums, but they're adding 3-bedroom condos, 2-bedroom condos, as opposed to there was a time they were putting the cookie cutter, the 600 square foot boxes. So
Yeah.
that but you're right, the demand is there. The one thing that I should mention is we had an unprecedented amount of immigration last year.
Yeah.
I think the federal government had slotted 250,000. We had close to 1 million people come to Canada last year, and Stats Canada just released a study, and they think by the year 2025, the federal government wants to bring in apparently another 1.45 million home buyers into our market. And so that's kind of counterintuitive. So they're talking about affordability on one hand, and yet they're bringing in more buyers on the other.
Yeah.
And it's that's not going to help affordability. That's going to create a lot of pressure on the market. So the government has to get its policies in sync instead of running counter to what they're talking about, as opposed to what the reality is of the situation.
Yeah, yeah, and when you look at that supply issue there, it's I guess it's just going to get worse, right? And until we start building new homes.
Yeah, well, once again, it's especially if we've got the federal government looking to bring in massive numbers of immigration. I think all levels of government have to expedite reducing the bureaucracy, finding innovative ways to add inventory stock, and as you said, not just condos, but like different types of inventory, like from assisted living to detached to condominiums to luxury homes, like bring it all in, especially with these kind of excessive immigration targets that the federal government is bringing in. So yeah, inventory is the answer. It's something chronically we've been living with 10 years. A lot of talk from the governments, but it's time they actually started dealing with the issues, not dealing with the buy side, dealing with the inventory, and that's the only solution.
All right. Thanks, Don, for joining us again today.
My pleasure, Mario. Always wonderful to see you, and we'll see you again soon.
You bet. That was Don Kottick, who is president and CEO of Sotheby's International Realty Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's podcast, Taking Care of Business Today.